The conclusion of the Australian Grand Prix was a wild one to say the least, and it sparked a bit of controversy, leaving fans with many questions. Once again, the FIA has drawn attention to itself, but this time for negative reasons. With only 2 laps remaining in the race, the FIA red flagged it, causing suspicion and concern. Carlos Sainz received a questionable 5-second penalty, making him the most affected by this decision. Additionally, the second restart of the race has raised eyebrows amongst those in the paddock. As a result, people are questioning why the FIA was unable to come to an agreement with the drivers during the event. But why and how did the FIA ultimately make its decision? Stick around to find out. Now, although Max Verstappen achieved his first ever race victory in Australia, it appears that whenever the Dutch driver achieves a significant milestone, such as winning 2 championships in a row, it's always surrounded by controversy. The FIA has created a situation in which many viewers may lose interest in the sport, despite the fact that the race had 3 red lights and 2 standing restarts, with a third being considered provisional. The first restart of the race proved costly for Russell and Sainz, as they both decided to enter the pit lane while the safety car was still in operation and didn't expect the race to be stopped. Russell in particular was adversely affected, having to retire from the race early due to concerns about the reliability of his W14. It may be worthwhile for Mercedes to address this issue in the future, as Stroll was unable to complete the previous race due to a problem with his Mercedes engine as well. Now, everything started on lap 58. Alex Albon lost control of his Williams FW45 at turn 7 and collided with the wall before rebounding over the curbs. This caused the first stoppage of the race, with a safety car initially deployed before a red flag was issued due to the amount of gravel and debris that needed to be cleared. The race was then red flagged twice more due to incidents involving Kevin Magnussen and a chaotic restart that resulted in multiple crashes. Despite delays, the race eventually concluded behind a safety car, with the results being determined by the previous grid. Although the cars were too damaged to cross the finish line, Haas objected to the outcome, with their driver Nico Hülkenberg falling from 4th to 7th. It's worth noting that the FIA was criticised for its use of a safety car during the previous Saudi Arabian Grand Prix due to limited video viewpoint that prevented the FIA from noticing Lance Stroll Aston Martin parked on an escape lane off the track. Russell, who was the early leader in the race and pitted under the safety car to rejoin in 8th place,
Russell has pitted from the lead,
was negatively affected by the Albon red flag. In contrast, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, his competitors, were able to benefit from free tyre replacements when the race was stopped. Russell expressed doubts about the FIA's decision-making process in his evaluation of how the situation was handled. His thoughts were, "The red flag in my opinion was completely unnecessary. Despite the track having a fair amount of gravel, there was a distinct racing line. In the past it's been far worse. It's very reminiscent of Saudi Arabia's choice to deploy the safety car last week when the vehicle was completely off the course. So I really don't know what's going on with some of the decisions at the moment. We're all trying to work together with the FIA to improve things, but it's seemingly a bit of a challenge." Now, another driver to have criticised the FIA was Lando Norris. He hinted that the red flags were more about faking drama to make the race exciting than they were about safety. After placing 6th, he said, "I easily could have crashed with Hülkenberg at the end because you've got people going off and you're suddenly swerving and things like that. So we've come all the way to Australia, but it's so much hard work driving 55 out of 56 laps perfectly, and because they try and put on a show, you just get unlucky and everything can get taken away from you all of a sudden. So I think that side of it, and I just think it needs a small rethink. It just needs a small rethink in my opinion." Carlos Sainz had a very strong reaction as well. Amid the FIA's final restart decisions, Sainz lined up for the final lap in 4th, but was given a 5-second penalty for the incident. So when the race ended under safety car conditions, he was relegated to 12th when the penalty was applied. An angry Sainz wished to review the penalty with the stewards, stating over team radio, "No, this is unacceptable. They need to wait until the end of the race to discuss with me." Sainz later felt he needed to see the stewards to talk through the incident and penalty before giving his full take on it. "I think it's the most unfair penalty I've ever seen in my life," he said after the Albert Park race. "Before talking to you and saying any really bad stuff or bad words, I'd prefer to go back to the stewards, have a conversation with them, and maybe I can come back and talk again. Because right now, honestly, I cannot do it. I think it's too unfair and I don't feel well to speak." Alonso stood in defense of his fellow driver. The two-time world champion ruled the regulations which state cars must line up on the grid for a standing start after a red flag resumption, before amazingly switching his focus to the aftermath mid-collision. "Stupid rule," Alonso said. "Maybe because we don't complete the lap, the order goes back to the restart, like at Silverstone. This they should do. Check this." Now, one of the rare people on the paddock who didn't criticise FIA so fiercely was Toto Wolff. Despite George Russell losing his lead as a result of the opening red flag due to pitting under the initial safety car, Mercedes team manager Wolff claimed that he had no concerns about the way the red flags were used. He added that he enjoys the entertainment value that such restarts provide, as long as the situation is clear for all involved. "Both red flags, we didn't see them coming," he said. "I think restarts are great and a great entertainment factor. We just need to understand going forward when our red flags are being put out and what is the safety car or virtual safety car. I think those incidents you could have applied either. I think why Formula 1 is so successful is because it's a sport and we follow the rule book. But that gives great entertainment, and I think as long as it's clear how this is being interpreted, I'm fine. Whether you call a VSC or safety car or you red flag it, as long as we understand in terms of us being able to plan a little bit or having the same rules for everyone, then that's okay." While speaking to the media in the Melbourne paddock on Sunday evening, Toto Wolff stated that the rulebook supported the decision that led to the race results. Although he acknowledged that such results can be advantageous for some teams while being detrimental to others, he expressed concern about the use of a red flag when there is only one lap remaining and a crash occurs. The FIA has recently changed its rules regarding races being terminated under a safety car or red flag. This comes after the controversy at the final race of the 2021 season in Abu Dhabi and the Australian GP this year. The FIA's new rule is that a race should not terminate under these circumstances. Verstappen won the title in 2021 with fair and cooperative one-lap racing, but it couldn't have been how this race ended today. The FIA sought to give each driver a fair shot at racing for 2 laps, which would have resulted in the best mini-sprint we've ever seen. But 4 drivers' races were ended when they crashed after turn 2. Verstappen mentioned this and added that the race was a total mess, implying that the FIA's attempt to encourage greater unity actually raised the amount of chaos for the drivers. Toto Wolff, the head of Mercedes' F1 team, also expressed his disappointment with the administration. He believes that the sport is becoming too focused on entertainment rather than fairness and integrity. This is not the first time Wolff has voiced his concerns about the entertainment aspect of the sport. He previously expressed his disapproval of the Drive to Survive documentary series, stating that it made F1 look like the Kardashians. The FIA, more than ever, are now under huge pressure. This season didn't start good for them and for their image, and they still have time to figure stuff out. But it has to happen fast. Situations like this are unacceptable, and it's evident that more and more people in the sport are slowly losing their nerves with the governing body of Formula 1. We'll see if they sort their stuff out sooner or later. So what do you think? Will the FIA really begin to bring some order, or their rules are far out of line and they need to work from inside out? Let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.